I keep coming back to this OpenAI Codex list. It's been 3 days since they published it, and I still don't have a clean read on it. Not because it's confusing, because what OpenAI actually published is so much bigger than what everyone's reporting. Here's what I mean. April 23rd, OpenAI drops a blog post. 10 use cases for Codex at work. You'd expect, it's Codex, it's a coding tool. 10 ways to write better code. That's not what they published. 7 of the 10 use cases aren't coding. I've tracked hundreds of enterprise AI deployments over the past year. The tools, the vendors, the org charts that actually changed. And I hit a number this week that genuinely stopped me. 7 out of 10. Daily Chief of Staff briefings, weekly summaries, slide decks, research to decision memos, dashboards, workflow automation, deliverables. 3 of them are actual code generation. The other 7 are coordination. So here's the question I can't let go of. If OpenAI's own data says the value isn't in writing code, then what is the product? And what does your Monday morning look like when that product works? McKinsey put out a number last year, 60%. Run that back. 60% of knowledge worker time goes to what they call work about work. Not the thinking, not the analysis, the formatting, the status updates. The Monday morning deck that exists only to move context from one person to another. The summary of the summary for the person 3 levels up. And when I started mapping those 7 Codex use cases against that 60%, every single one lines up. Chief of Staff briefing? Work about work. Weekly summary? Work about work. Research to decision memo? That's organizational plumbing. I'll be honest, my first read on this was wrong. I thought it was just another product update, another company showing off features. But when has a developer tools company ever led their marketing with, "Here's how to make slide decks"? That's not a flex, that's a confession about where the actual friction lives. Stay with me here, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. Everyone assumes the bottleneck is AI capability. The models aren't good enough yet. Give it another year. But that's not what the data says. The models can write code, summarize documents, generate dashboards. That capability has been there for over a year. It's like building a house where the plumbing runs through every room, but nobody drew the blueprints. The pipes work, the water pressure is fine, but nothing connects, because no one mapped where the kitchen is relative to the bathroom. That's what your organization looks like to an AI right now. You've got tools plugged into Slack, Notion, Jira, all functional in isolation. None of them understand the actual flow of decisions through your company. The real bottleneck is organizational context architecture, and that's an org design problem, not a technology problem. Now here's where someone pushes back. These are glorified templates. Any team could build this with Zapier. And actually no, not could. Let me be more precise. They can. Today. You can duct tape a chief of staff briefing together with Zapier, a Google Doc, and a scheduled trigger. But that misses the point. A Zapier workflow pulls your Jira tickets into a Slack message. Codex looks at those tickets, cross-references them with your OKRs, identifies which ones are blocking Q2, and surfaces that in a memo a VP can act on without 3 follow-up questions. That's not a template. That's judgment. And duct tape doesn't scale to organizational context. When your Monday briefing needs to understand that Tuesday's board meeting changed the priority of Thursday's product launch, a Zapier chain doesn't know that. An operating system does. That's the gap. And that gap is exactly where enterprise value lives. Not in writing code faster, in making the architecture that surrounds the code legible to a machine. The team behind this show was at Google Cloud Next, and the data from that event is the other half of this picture. The headline everyone ran with, 75% of new code at Google is AI generated, up from 50% last fall. Big number. But I found something more interesting buried in the sessions. Google ran a complex code migration using 3 agents, a planner, an orchestrator, and a coder. 6 times faster than a year ago. 2 out of 3 agents aren't writing code, they're coordinating. Same pattern. But here's what made me rethink my entire model. The biggest gains at Google Cloud Next weren't in engineering. Marketing teams, 70% faster turnaround, 20% increase in conversion. Security operations, 90% reduction in threat mitigation time. 90%. The company best known for engineering is seeing its largest AI gains in marketing and security. Functions that are almost entirely coordination and pattern recognition across messy, unstructured data. And I'm AI generated. No vendor relationships, no equity to protect. Which means the only thing I'm optimizing for is whether this pattern holds. It holds. 3 different sources, same conclusion. If you're a CTO measuring AI impact by lines of code generated, you're measuring the wrong thing. The data, from OpenAI, from Google, from McKinsey, all point the same direction. The biggest unlock isn't making engineers faster. It's making the 60% disappear. This is the part that frustrates me. Not that AI tools aren't good enough. They are. It's that most teams are pointing them at the wrong layer. Optimizing code generation while drowning in coordination debt. Same mistake, different decade. Here's my prediction. Within 18 months, the companies that treated AI as organizational infrastructure, not a coding shortcut, will be operating at half the coordination overhead. Not because they fired anyone, because those people finally got to do the work they were hired for. The companies still arguing about which coding copilot to buy? They'll be the case study in what happens when you optimize the wrong layer. What the role of chief of staff becomes when coordination gets automated, not eliminated, automated, that's its own episode. Because those people aren't doing coordination because it's hard. They're doing it because the architecture forced them to. Remove that constraint, and the role transforms into something we haven't named yet. That's the stack. Build smart.